Many people think that there's conflict between science and the Christian faith, and this includes young people who are at colleges and universities. And this perception of conflict can actually create quite a bit of confusion for them and even despair. How can we help young people to develop a proper understanding about the relationship between science and Christianity? Thankfully, I'm joined today by Dr. Mike Strauss, a particle physicist and a Christian who's going to help with that question. Mike, you teach at the University of Oklahoma. You interact with college students quite a bit. How do you help them develop a proper understanding regarding the relationship between science and Christianity?
Yeah, I think the first thing to do is affirm that science and Christianity are only in apparent conflict, that a good understanding of the Bible and a good understanding of science itself and what that relationship should be will clear up most of the questions. One thing, so let me address each of those things. When I was struggling with some issues about what the Bible said, and then I went back and read it, I learned that often what it actually said was different than what I was taught it said. So the first thing is learn how to read the Bible for what it actually says. There are simple principles of how to interpret any piece of literature well. Learn some of those things. Second thing is learn what science really says. There are things that have great evidence for them within science, like the fact that the universe seemed to have a beginning 13.8 billion years ago, and there are things that have less well-defined evidence. So understand that. But then finally, I think trying to understand the relationship between science and faith, and where should they interact, and how should that interrelationship look like? And, I highly recommend Reasons to Believe. It's a great organization. The website is reasons.org. I know I'm not here to push it, but I will. And they have great resources on how to integrate science and faith and understand Scripture and what science says. And I often point people there when they're wrestling with these kind of issues.
Can you relate to the doubts that students might have on these issues?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no way you can be a scientist. There's no way you can be a Christian and have a relationship with Jesus and not at times have doubts. What I tell people is, doesn't every one of your relationships have doubts at times? If you're married, don't you ever wonder, what am I doing here? Most people I know do. And the doubts for me in my Christian walk are sometimes intellectual. They're sometimes more emotional. God didn't treat me as I think I should be treated. What I found again is when you have doubts, you have one of two options. One option is to walk away and say, these doubts mean what I believe must not be true. And the other option is to say, maybe I don't know everything I think I know, whether it's an intellectual question or a question about God's character and why He might treat me in such a way. When I've taken the latter route, saying that maybe there's something about God or about nature or about the Bible that I don't understand, and I've dug deeper, I've actually developed a stronger relationship, and the doubts are answered. It's the story of Job. Job had all this stuff happen in his life that didn't make any sense. God seemed to be unfair. And at the end, Job said, I had heard about God, but now I've seen God. And Job, by taking the second path to say, maybe I need to investigate more, instead of walking away, developed a deeper understanding about those questions he had doubts about.